I'm not sure how long this video is going to be. It might be just quite a brief update. Basically, I've got myself a GSI bonnet. It looks like it's in a real state because it's been really badly painted with a rattle can, but it is completely rust free, even under the front. It's really nice. So hopefully that will just need a good rub down and a paint. I've also got a new grille for it as well, which is better than the old one, or that one, because that one's rusted underneath. So I'm going to put that on there and then start fitting water pipes and the radiator. Quite like it in black, actually, kind of rat look. I'm not going to bother gapping it up properly because that's got to come off to be painted. But I'm just going to nip up the front wings and take a look at how they sit. So that's basically somewhere close. You can see what I mean about being rust free. The other bonnets I've seen have all gone under here. This one's absolutely pristine. That's good. I've got all of the underbelly, sound deadening panels, the washer jets and all the hoses, so that's all going to be good. Just looking at the front again here, these are the stickers that I was trying to replicate. That one, if you go on eBay and search, you can find one for a Mini, which is basically that emblem of the fan and the hand. It says caution, but then it says something up here in German, which looks a bit rubbish. This one, I can't quite find exactly the right sticker yet, but I'm still working on it. I did try with a heat gun to remove the old one off the green scuttle panel that I chopped up, and I found that if you warm it up, the glue breaks down, but the sticker itself just stretches out and tears, which isn't going to work. And you can't just cut it off with a razor blade either. So these are basically scrap now. I'm not going to be able to salvage those, which is a shame. I'm also wondering whether or not I shouldn't just paint all of this green myself with the rattle can, because that'll save me some money at the paint shop. And actually the finish I got on this side, even though it's not lacquered, the colour match is great, and the quality of the finish is pretty good. So I might put a bit of filler in there and just start rubbing it down and work out whether or not I shouldn't paint it myself. Just decided that I am going to put a bit of filler in this. Even if I don't paint it, I might as well put some filler in it now. So I'm just using an old knife to get the remains of the stickers off. Just using some panel thinners or panel wipe stuff. In fact, it isn't panel wipe, it is base coat thinners, just to remove the sticker residue. That sticker, there's no way I would have got it off in one piece. It had actually broken, like expanded and then cracked. So yeah, I never would have got that one off. There are a couple of little bits that I just want to clean up a bit more before I put filler on them. One is where I've cleaned that weld up there. And the other one is in that corner there. They're both places that I couldn't get to with the grinder. So I'm going to use this basically rip off of a Dremel tool with a little sandy bit on the end. I have ordered a power file but it hasn't arrived yet, so I'm going to make do with this thing. It's pretty good. It's not as powerful as a file, but it'll get in the gaps better probably. Quite a good little tool that. Just allows you to smooth things off neat. So I'll go and do that side now once I've found another bit, because I broke that one. Right, that's done. Basically, now that's smoothed off. By the time that's got a tiny bit of filler on it, and the same across, well, it doesn't really need filler if I'm honest, but by the time some of these are just dressed over and the headlights are in there and everything else back is fitted, you probably won't know at first glance that that was ever changed, and that's always been the intention with this. I'm not trying to hide anything from everyone that it's had an accident, because it has, but it was never recorded. It's all incredibly minor damage, and it should look as good as new. So I'm going to degrease this and then mix up some filler to go in. Right, I've just keyed some of this with a bit of sandpaper. I haven't bothered doing all of it because I'm only putting filler in a few localized areas. This is the filler I'm going to be using. It's U-Pole Dolphin Glaze, and it's basically ultra fine stuff, and when you mix it you'll see it's almost like a liquid. You mix it same as most fillers with a pea of hardener with a golf ball of material. So I'm going to do that now, mix it up and then get ready just to put it on in a few places. I shouldn't need much at all. You can see how runny it is. Ooh. So that's mixed. There was a couple of bits of crap in there, I think, left over from last time I used this, so I'm just making sure it's nice and smooth, which it is. I don't know whether I've said in other videos, but I'm not very good at filler or actual proper, you know, body repairs. I can swap panels and I can weld, but I'm not exactly a body man. But I have learnt the hard way. It's best to put only a little bit in because there's less to sand off afterwards. I think that's about it. Seems like a bit of a waste, but I'd rather mix too much than too little. But yeah, that's for the bin now. It's getting quite cold again and dark, but hopefully you can see what I've done. I've literally just kissed over the surface of some of this, and then with a light rub down it should be fine for etch priming and painting. Yeah, so my plan will be, although I have actually put the wings on properly and gapped them nicely, take them off again, rub all that down, mask it all properly, paint it green, then I can put the front end back on and hopefully take it to the body shop for them to paint the front bumper and the bonnet. I was actually intending to fit water pipes today, but I can't do that actually until that's all done, so never mind, until another time. Good morning, it's Saturday morning. It's 48 hours since I put this really fine filler on. It's quite damp, but it's still alright conditions for putting on primer and things, so I'm going to rub that down and then just prime it again. Meanwhile, while that's going off, I'll start putting the water pipes in that I can get to easily, and then I won't put the rad in yet until that's painted green, but I can do a couple of other bits and pieces. This battery tray is looking really nasty, and I was going to leave it in there because obviously once the battery's in you can't really see it, but it's so crappy I think I'm going to pull that out as well and tosh a bit of black paint on it. I'm not really looking forward to this because these bolts are probably just going to tear out or break off, but I'll give them some WD-40 and see how they come out. I'm using a sander with some 400 grit paper on it. Well, I would if I could get it to work. Whew, hot. This is why I don't do bodywork. I found that the sander thing, it's just smearing it, it's not actually sanding the material off particularly well. The only other really rough paper I've got is on the back of these, and that's just raping it. So I'm off to go find some more sandpaper, but basically this is why I don't do bodywork. It's such a pain. Got to leave it to the pros because they know what they're doing. I think there might be an incompatibility as well between some of the paints on there. They're not sanding, they're just kind of smearing off, which is really weird. Right, I found some more sandpaper and I'm going to take the wings off so I can get into those corners better. I don't know what the difference is. Basically this paper, which I've got for woodwork I think, works really nicely. So I'm able to actually sand off these surfaces and leave it's not actually smearing this time, it's actually cutting that off. So I'm just going to continue doing what I was doing but with this sandpaper instead, and hopefully we'll have a slightly better surface. I think it's the 2K etch primer that the paper doesn't like. The sander, the filler is sanding okay, but it's anywhere I've got this grey that's just not liking it. That's my deoxy solution. There's quite a lot of powder in there. It hasn't really diluted yet, but that's near boiling hot water actually, so I'm just going to agitate it a bit and leave that to do its stuff. I've also put in here the brackets for the radiator and the bonnet release cable, so they can all go together in there. And I'll also put the nuts and bolts in too. I've not bothered filling the whole thing up because obviously that dilutes the mixture, and that bit there isn't actually that bad, so concentrating mostly on the battery tray itself and that side of that bracket which holds the airbox. Here we have my pipes, and so I'm just going to put them back in. Water pipes in and done. I'd love to say it's transformed the engine bay and makes it look amazing, but it doesn't. They're in, they're done up. Some of them don't feel like, I don't know, it's not that they're suspect or anything, it's just I'm used to putting things back in engine bays that I'm 100% happy with, whereas they're just still slightly crusty. They just happen to be shinier black, and I don't think they're going to leak. But even so, when it's first fired up and warming up, I'll keep an eye on everything and make sure that we don't have any leaks developing, because this car will be sold on and I don't want the next owner to have any sort of problems with anything I've done. So next thing, degrease that, go and find some other primer that I think will do a better job than the etch stuff I had. I've masked all that up, and when I say masked, I mean hidden quite a lot of it between, well, plastic between it and the metal, the engine. Now I'm just going to degrease it. Good. Right, I'm just going to tosh a little bit of etch primer on this just to stop it from flash rusting. I really only do have a tiny bit of etch primer left, but it's U-Pol acid etch rather than the stuff I used last time, so hopefully it won't react or go funny like the other stuff did. So, excuse me, all of the paints are sitting in a pot of hot water warming up, and I'm also going to preheat some of this just very gently with a hairdryer. You're probably shouting at your computer screens like, why would you bother doing that? But it has just taken the chill out of it a little bit, which on such a damp day, it's probably no bad thing. So that's what I'm using this time. So that's what I would be using this time if the nozzle wasn't. Well, crap. This is a disaster. It's more like a small volcano than an aerosol. Well, I'd love to say that looked amazing. Probably does from a long way away, but it's still a bit of a lash up really. Never mind, eh? Right, now I'm going to put a bit of green on, not the whole panel, just the edges where the wings go over, because I want the body shop to be able to make that look pretty, then just paint over the whole lot of green without having to take the wings off. mission complete, sort of. So what I've done is toshed it on pretty thick where the wing is going to come over and the body shop isn't going to be able to get to. You can see how crap I am at filler because it shows up a lot more once it's got some gloss on it. I've also shot a bit up under here as well because I want the body shop to basically make that look pretty. Everything below here gets hidden by the bumper, the headlights, all the rest of it. So it's really that top surface. And again, half of this gets hidden because you've got the bumper buffer there. Bonnet support, that thing sits on top of the panel. And the headlights come right back over to here. And then we've got a couple of stickers once I've tracked them down to put in as well. So, you know, for a home DIY job, it's okay. And hopefully when it's all back together again and painted up nicely, you'll never know. I have been wondering what to do here because it seems a shame to send the car to the body shop when we've got rust breaking out here. I think this is actually the only bit of rust on the whole car and it's just on that wing, but at the same time I need to get rid of this project and get stuck in with other ones, so I might leave that for the next owner. It's such an easy panel to swap, they just bolt on. You could probably buy one in green already, so I'll probably leave that for someone else to do. But I think that's going to be the end of today's video. I don't want to be fitting the radiator until all of that's gone off hard, and that will probably take 24-48 hours, and then when it has, I can take all that stuff out of the way, bolt the radiator in, fill it with coolant, start it up, because I still never have actually had this car running. It got delivered as a non-runner because it had no coolant in it, and I haven't started it up yet, so yeah, that'll be interesting.